follow us on Facebook, Real Family Talk. You can follow us
Hello. Welcome to Real Family Talk. This is your host, Jay Real. Hope everybody's having a great Wednesday evening. We're switching up the promos around here. Brother Chris Shaw, he's going to make it happen for us. He's good with that kind of thing. But, yeah, man, we Wednesday, 9 p.m., Real Family Talk. Like I said, I hope everybody's having a great evening. As always, I'm always having a great evening on the night of Real Family Talk. I'm going to go ahead and welcome the guest in the building. I got Jeremy's in the building. How you doing, Jeremy?
I'm good. How y'all doing out there?
Doing all right, brother. Miss McCrae's here.
Hey.
How you doing, Miss McCrae?
I'm blessed. How are you?
I'm great, Miss McCrae. I'm great. And joining me, it's been a while since I've seen this young lady, but Jasmine. She's in the building tonight. Miss Jasmine Burney's here. How you doing, Miss Jasmine?
I am well. How's everyone doing this evening?
Oh, we're doing all right,
Where's
man.
her music? Where's the moments with jazz?
We'll rework that also.
Okay, we got to add that in there.
Yeah, man. But, it's actually pretty kind of sad day in Orlando here, man.
Yeah.
They had a car crash into a daycare center today.
Mm-hmm.
And so far, they say one of the children apparently died, unfortunately.
Mm-hmm.
11 others, 11 other people were injured. I guess it was 10 other children, though, and one other adult was actually injured. And at least so far, those 11 people are okay. But unfortunately, one child has died. The last update I saw, they still were actually looking for the gentleman because it was a hit and run. He run into a daycare center and then drive off.
Well, no, that's not actually how it happened.
That's not how it happened?
No.
Okay.
Yeah.
The driver, the person who ran into the child, because I asked the same question, but the person who ran into the child care center was ran off of the road by the person who left the scene, who fled the scene. That is who the hit and run driver is. And his only out or way, I guess, of avoiding traffic or was probably just forced into the child care center. But the person who hit the child care center is still there. The man who forced him into the child care center is the one who fled the scene.
And they named him. I don't know if they found him, but they named him. Some guy, Robert Cordova or something. So,
because that would be kind of hard.
Gotcha. Okay. That at least makes a little bit more sense. But I was thinking to myself, how you run into a daycare center and then drive off? Yeah. You just got to be cold and heartless. Knowing the little kids inside, defenseless little kids.
That's just awful. Like you drop off your baby and you just say, okay, kid, I'll see you later. And to get that call.
Yeah.
Yes,
pray
for sure.
For them all.
Even in there was even some trouble in Pennsylvania today, apparently as well. Young man took some knives and ended up stabbing. What did they say? I think it was 20 people got stabbed. They say in the process up 20. There. I have to tell you, and I know you're gonna tell me this is in bad taste, Miss McCrae. But
go ahead.
Go ahead. My first thought when I heard this. Obviously we know what happens. We've had a lot of gun violence with this. And, there's a lot of laws that they say should be created to now, protect us from guns. And so I heard this story about the knife, and I was like, so what's next? Now we're going to have laws now to protect us against knives as well. That seems the logical move here, Miss McCrae.
See? Why you got to go there? Why you got to take it there?
Right. But if he's thinking it, there are people sitting at home thinking the same exact thing.
His people.
Yeah,
his
you're
Republican people are thinking that. You conservatives, that's what y'all go to. That's what you skip over. Oh, somebody got hurt. We need to.
We're banning knives.
Banning knives now. What else you going to take?
And I got a question here. I see how did 20 people get stabbed or not. That was my second thought.
All right, because I just we were in here and we were just like, I don't know. Right. No, I'm not to make light of the situation.
I'm not trying to make light of the situation
at
all.
If somebody got an assault rifle and hit 20 people, that's one thing.
Right.
But personally, you walk up on me and you hit 20 different people.
You know what? I watch this awful show, but I keep watching it. It's called The Following on Fox.
Actually, I thought that was a pretty good show.
The first season was great. This season is kind of sketchy. But my point is they keep doing these pop-ups, the crazy cult people And the latest one, they went into like a coffee shop, a regular like Starbucks, and then all of a sudden just started stabbing, slicing up people. And you would think, okay, run. But it happens so quickly and so fast, you know, you're looking, okay, somebody just bent over. Like, what's the problem? By the time you look in that person wondering what's wrong, they're coming to stab you, and they like killed a whole bunch of people in the Starbucks. I'm just saying, maybe, I don't know where it was. Were they in a classroom?
Since we're talking about it, I'm going to use logic. At least on the show, you're talking about 4 or 5 individuals that are banding together to do a particular act. In this particular case, it was one individual who was able to stab 20 people. Again, I'm not trying to make light of it.
Not to make light of it, but I'm
really
just saying,
but that's what I was thinking.
The school we went to, I just don't think 20 people.
I think that these people were not expecting it. I think that it could have been from behind. He probably just ran into different areas of the school or rooms.
Maybe that was it.
Started, because I'm with you too. Logically, if you see someone getting stabbed, I'm going to start running or, you know, something. Obviously, somebody ran because he stopped.
Right. Yeah.
Somebody did something. But,
yeah.
That
was interesting. But yeah, again, an unfortunate situation. Something. Somebody had to see something.
Yeah.
Exactly. You know, but that's how black people do. If one person screams, they don't ask any questions. They don't need to investigate.
If we hear a sound right now in this studio,
the show is over.
Please believe it's going to be dead air because we all...
I don't know. I might be able to fade or something.
Look, let something crazy happen.
Might be able to.
No questions asked.
Oh, man. Yeah, man. So, you know, again, sad events that occurred today. Hopefully, though, the families eventually get some resolve in these situations. I believe, at least in the Pennsylvania, they have at least caught the individual that was doing all the stabbing. They've named him, so I'm assuming they caught him. And so hopefully justice will be served in some way, shape, or form there. And hopefully they catch this individual in Orlando who caused this hit-and-run accident that ultimately ran into a daycare center. Hopefully they catch him as well. I did see some details. They were saying how apparently he had rented the car that caused the accident from the airport, and to their knowledge, he was actually heading back to the airport. So hopefully they figure this thing out, catch this individual, put him behind bars until they can resolve what his crime and punishment should be. Mm-hmm. Hopefully that is what happens. Hopefully. So hopefully we'll see. I want to get to what Miss Burney was talking about. I don't live in District 5, Miss Burney, so I don't follow it as closely because it's not my home. But I've been reading about what's been happening in District 5 between Juan Lynham and yesterday was the election, and now, of course, Juan Lynham and Regina Hill are going to be having a runoff. I believe it's in May, if not mistaken.
Correct.
And but just reading in the background on these individuals is what I just... Wow.
Yeah. Well, first, let me start off.
But go ahead, Ms.
Let me start off and say that, yes, you are not a resident. You are not a voter of the district. However, you still lend your show and your time to what is happening in District 5 because it is still very important and it's still something that your viewers care about. So thank you for doing that on this evening. Before I actually get into the crux of the candidates and what took place on last evening, because I know everybody's excited to get into that, I want to bring up 3 points that have taken place over the course of this particular election that have been just quite interesting. But number one, low voter turnout. You have 20,000 residents who are registered to vote in District 5. Of the city, and only 1,900, a little over 1,900 individuals came out to vote in this particular race. Wait a minute,
20,000.
20,000.
1,900 people voted.
Despicable.
Wow.
Despicable.
You know, when it was raining, when I woke up and it was raining all day, and I saw the news people, and I was like, ooh.
And I thought about that. I thought about that also. But I also thought back to 2020 when I worked on that campaign and we had to send individuals out. It was pouring on that particular day. I want to almost go back and say that it was raining on Election Day for President Obama as well.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
So
it was.
You know, there's just no excuse. Yeah. It is the level of interest and the energy that you've put into this district. And if you think it doesn't matter, you are absolutely mistaken. Another thing I want to bring up about this is that this race has garnered so much social attention as it relates to social media, as it relates to a lot of these social blogs and things of that nature. It has really garnered a lot of attention and momentum for these candidates, but it did not resonate to voters. And that is a real serious problem right there. Mm-hmm. We have raised the momentum and hype for the candidates who are on the ballot, but we still haven't given them more individuals to reach because they didn't come out and vote for these. Well, they didn't come out to vote for the candidates in the numbers that we would have liked for them to. We get it. It's a non-presidential year. It's not an exciting campaign. However, we are changing the guard and we are changing the leadership that's been there for 16 years. Here's an opportunity to do something about it. But nonetheless, that didn't take place. So let's get into this District 5 city race. I would like to say that it's almost a theme that after seeing the results on last evening and how close they were, whoever came up with the saying almost doesn't count was wrong because almost definitely counted on last night. And now we have a runoff that has resulted in how close this race has come.
I was surprised. I was stunned when I saw that. I was like, what, really?
Yeah.
Okay, well.
Just so our listeners know, last evening we had 3 candidates in the Orlando City Council race for District 5. That seat is currently being held by Daisy Lynham. And the candidates were Cynthia Harris. She is an owner and organizer of a nonprofit. We had Regina Hill, who is a nurse. And we had Juan Lynham, who is the son of Daisy Lynham and is also an attorney. So these 3 individuals were in the race on last evening, and in order for this race to have ended on last evening, one candidate should have received 50 plus 1% of the votes. That did not take place and shocked probably a lot of people. Mm-hmm. What the sad thing about it is, though, in this particular seat and in this race, polling is not a priority. So we go into these races guessing as to who's going to win. We don't know who has the highest momentum. We don't know who voters really care about, who they really, really want to throw their support behind, because we don't have any of that previous polling to determine any of this information. We're really just banking it off of hearsay, what we're hearing from our supporters, and if we're surrounded by our supporters, then that sort of gives you a one-sided effect on what is really happening, because all of your other opponents have supporters.
Right.
So we came in and we watched the results as they came in, and I just want to give you specific numbers as to how close this race was. Regina Hill came in with 706 votes. Juan Lynham came in with a total of 743 votes. Wow. Do you see how close that is? Wow.
That is amazing.
It's so close, it's scary.
And for that team, I'm sure that was like a slap in the face.
Right.
You have Juan Lynham with
the name
you know. Jeff Johnson. With plenty of money and name recognition. Ooh. He has the top endorser in the entire city behind his campaign, his mother. Yeah. And then you have Regina Hill, who is not or was not the fan favorite in the beginning, was not one that anyone was interested in and did not find viable whatsoever, and came within mere percentage points of the top opponent.
Right.
There are so many things that took place throughout the course of this race that we can discuss that changed the way I will look at races from now on, especially one like this.
Right. And I think it goes to show that there's a good and a bad to it. As I was thinking about this, certainly speaks to the volume of what people think about that name, because clearly, what has been a staple in the city is apparently fallen off somewhat. And then here you have this startup, someone who has a past that, from a political perspective, seems like, they're surprised you weren't even in the race, let alone, come within, mere votes of at least tying the front runner, So it kind of goes back to, that whole grassroots, and it's sort of exciting to at least see somebody who you sort of may have counted out and without having any chance whatsoever, at least show up and say, hey, I am a presence. You know, I don't know what kind of commissioner she'd make, you know, good or bad. That's neither here nor there. But, you know, just the idea that you have someone that, you know, started from the bottom and now I'm here, if you will. It is kind of refreshing to at least see a new face, perhaps, which might, you know, bring some different vibes and some positive things to the table. Maybe not, but at least, you know, it's a new face, you know, and I think it says a lot that, you know, again, sort of like Jeff Johnson, I find that movie to be so incredibly accurate. Sometimes,
So funny.
you know, you have the name, you know, and the name, you know, can't even, and 1,900 votes, 1,900 people, and out of 1,900, you can't even get 51% of those people to vote for you?
Yeah.
With the name that they know.
With the name that they know.
Yeah. And that says a lot, though, because no one knows how any of these individuals will be as commissioners.
Right.
They don't have previous political careers, and if we can count Wands as just being the son of Daisy Lynham, he's never had to make any serious decisions as it relates to her votes in the city commission. So they really have not had previous, you know, roles in politics. Again, aside from probably working on a campaign or things of that nature. But I will say that the candidates used media as a great opportunity to position them in a place that allows them name recognition. Name recognition that they probably would have never received had this race not garnered any attention. Media just doesn't, mainstream media, like Orlando Sentinel, they just don't cover the races like, you know, we would like them to. And that's where you have smaller blogs who give us a lot of information about who they support, who they may not support. They try to make sure that they're biased, things of that nature. But when it comes to that Orlando Sentinel or, you know, your ordinary news stations you go home and watch, it's been statistically proven that minorities and women receive their information as it relates to politics from the media at much higher rates than any other racial or gender group. And media, if it's on television, that's where they're getting in it. If television says that this is what it is, that is what they are believing. There's no follow-up. There's no research. There's none of that.
That's unfortunate. And I think a lot of that probably has to do, most of us don't search the internet for, you know, we search the internet for, you know, other things. But we typically don't search the internet to find out, you know, about political candidates, what's happening politically. We you know, involve ourselves in other things, and that's unfortunate. That, you know, we need to do a lot more of that, and perhaps more than 1,900 people will show up when we do that. You know, the special election is did I see May 6th? Is that the date? So the special election is May 6th. So hopefully, you know, now that, you know, hopefully more than 1,900 people recognize that, hey, there's something still going on here. Hopefully at least half, at a minimum, half of that 20,000 can show up and show support for whomever you believe to be the best candidate for the job, you know, and go do your research. Like Miss Burney says, that you're not going to find it on TV. No. You're not going to find it on TV. They're only going to talk about what's sexy and hot and will sell.
And messy.
Exactly. You got to go do your research. Go on the internet.
We will be lucky, actually, to see half of the 1,900 show up. And I say that because how many of them will know that there's a special election after this? Will these candidates, and I know that they're going to be out there stumping the ground harder than ever over the next 30 days to make sure that they can reach as many people as they possibly can. And not only reach those previous voters, but reach some of Cynthia Harris's voters, since she's no longer in the race and it's between the top two. Who's going to get her? Who are going to get her voters? The people who voted for her because of the platform that she ran, and her platform is parallel to that of Regina Hill, one that is different from maintaining the legacy that has been in place for the past 16 years. Right. Will that be enough for her to pull those voters over, though? Will she be able to convince those individuals she's the right person, and because your candidate didn't win or move to the next round, will you throw your support behind me? Right. Will they be able to convince her, or will her past be a factor for them? Because they voted for Cynthia. They thought that she was the better candidate.
But doesn't, if I remember right, didn't I see that Cynthia also has somewhat of a interesting past as well? We'll just call it interesting.
I read that as well. I did
won't
read
call it
that
salacious
she too has an interesting
so
past.
So perhaps then, because she also has a interesting past, that's what we're going to call it, that, you know, they won't be so swayed or so put off by whatever Miss Hill also has in her past.
Correct.
And maybe they'll even see some similarity and to say, you know, hey, you know, Cynthia Harris had some issues, and obviously she's risen above that. And so Regina Hill has done the same. And so perhaps, you know, at the end of the day, I would just say I'm always for a new guard. I think that's one of the problems we have in politics is we so often continue the same guard. And as a result, we get the same results. And then we complain about those results. But yet we typically put into office. And while Juan Lynham is certainly obviously not his mother, from everything I've read, his plan is his mom's done a great job, and I'm going to continue to do the great job that he does.
Correct.
She did. So I'm not saying he won't be different, but I'm saying he sounds like he thinks his mom was great, and he's going to do his best to be as great as his mother was. And so that goes back to, what did you think of his mom?
Well, that is true. But, you know, being the son of the sitting commissioner or councilwoman, he can see some of the firsthand results of people that she has helped. I cannot say that she hasn't helped anyone, because people have obviously continued to vote her in for 16 years, so she's done something. But voter turnout has a lot to do with that, though, too. And also the fact that she has name recognition, and you would not dare run against her, considering the fact that she's been in for so long. But we can say that, being the son, he's probably seen a lot of things that we have not been able to see. Right. And, of course, because he's been able to see some of those things, he's privy to that information, and he thinks that she's done a great job, and he wants to continue to do that because he wants people like the people that his mom helped to continue to come forward.
Right.
In his defense, that is what, you know, he may be thinking, and that is fine. But we do know, I know personally, you know, driving through Paramore, it's kind of scary. A little bit. Kind of, you know, a little dangerous.
Roll up your windows and lock your doors.
Yeah.
You got to lock your doors.
407-894-1680. 407-894-1680 is the number. 407-894. If you got any comments about what's happening in District 5, give us a call. We'd love to hear from you. So ultimately, we have this runoff May 6th. So your opinion is, we'll probably, if there were 1,900 people that showed up in the popular election, we'll call it, you figured less than that's going to show up on May 6th. And so now on May 6th, we'll also need a 51% vote to claim a winner, or at that point is say who's ever got the number of votes.
Whoever has the most wins.
2 more, 3 more, half a vote more.
Whoever has the most wins, as long as there is not a margin of error where they're so close, they've got to do a recount and they've got to do this all over again. I would hope that it doesn't get that close, though. I would hope that it doesn't. I want this to be over and done, and I want to be able to just congratulate the winner. However, I think that it will probably be close, but not as close where we'll need to redo this all over again and go through that. I just think it's so exciting, though. It is so exciting to see Regina Hill, the nurse. Regina Hill come from being this individual with this checkered past that we all want to talk about, to being within mere percentage points of an attorney whose mother has been sitting at the helm of this seat for 16 years and has name recognition. I think it is exciting to see that Juan Lynham wants to take on his mother's seat and continue in her legacy, and has made preparations to do so. Have you all seen recent developments as of today, though? His residency was questioned when he initially qualified to run a few months ago, and as of 5 o'clock this afternoon, a new report has come out that the FDLE is doing yet another or further investigation into his residency to determine if any fraudulent activity has taken place, because he states that he resides here in Orlando. Yeah. He claims homestead exemption in Sumter County. Then his wife and child live in Tampa. Yeah. So there's a lot going on right there.
Yeah, there's a lot going on.
Where do you stay,
what
sir?
are you doing?
Where do you live?
There's
Where
a
do you
lot
live?
Do you live in
In
Orlando,
Rock Lake
Tampa,
or Tampa? Or
you know, just according to the story that I read about that situation, I guess they said he owns the house in Sumter County, but I guess his dad lives there.
lives there.
Yeah, it was
So
it was inherited or willed over to him.
It's in his name, but his dad is actually the resident there. But the thing that just, I could get that. I could even give him a pass on that. But the thing that really got me was when they said, okay, so you got the Sumter County thing going on. Okay, I can kind of understand that. But then you got you live with the mom in Orlando, but your wife and baby are in Tampa. That's where he lost me right now. So they in Tampa, you in Orlando, and I guess you've been in Orlando because you pretty much, I'm assuming you knew
you had to be
that you had to be in Orlando to run for this job.
At least a year.
Correct?
Yeah.
So I don't know.
It says he goes
I'm not
to
saying
Tampa
this.
every weekend
Yeah,
to be
it
with
says he
them,
goes
to
and they
Tampa.
Skype.
I'm not saying that he doesn't live in Orlando. I just know that Tampa is within an hour away, and I drive from Tampa every day.
I have a friend
So,
who makes the commute.
So
But
I make the commute every day. I'm just saying. Whatever.
people make decisions that are based on
That's
all
all I can say about
yeah.
that, brother. Interesting. That's what it was, brother. That was what it was, man. So District 5, man. May 6th, people. May 6th. 20,000 people in the district. Hopefully, more than 1,900 show up on the second go-around. And so that we can at least feel like the community had a say in this thing. Because right now, the community's not talking. That's just the community ain't talking.
Yeah.
1,900 people, that means that's less than 2% of the community voted.
Mm-hmm.
That's why it's a stadium
I'm
getting
sorry.
dropped in their backyard.
Like, come on now. Come on.
That's
Let's get
why.
it together, people. Not 2%. I'm sorry. 10%. About 10% of the community voted. So, come on. That 10%? 10%?
Mm-hmm.
10%? Come on now. We gotta do better than that. There's no sexy name on the race. The president isn't up for re-election anymore.
No.
Stand your ground ain't that issue. I bet you if stand your ground was on the ballot, they would be like, we need to go do something about that.
Oh, they'd
Maybe.
be there. People would be trying to vote
But-
and aren't even in the district.
Exactly. So, this is important too, man. This is all about what's going to happen. Here's your voice in the city council member for the city of Orlando. And there's certainly a lot of things that's happening down there right now.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of projects going on. There's a lot of, the city's being accused of trying to push poor people out of the downtown area. This is part of the downtown area. So, all those people complaining that the city's pushing them out. Hey, this is the time. This is the time to go support a candidate who you believe is going to push back against the negative policies, quote unquote, that you might believe the city's doing. So, if you want a voice, this is that time to give that voice. It's not after the vote is over May 6th and whomever wins this race and then they don't do the things that you want them to do. That's going to be too late. You got to speak up now and make a decision and at least let your voice be heard as to the candidate you think will at least push back against the city's policy of, quote unquote, pushing the poor people out of downtown so that they can put up some new high rises, some beautiful stadiums, some parking garages, I'm sure, and and whatever else is on the agenda.
And I'm sure it'll be nice, and I'm sure we'll all patronize it. And we'll probably see some of those Paramore residents there, not patronizing but working. So we hope that happens, but it is unfortunate that it will come at the cost of some individuals losing their homes, individuals losing their churches, to beautify downtown Orlando. But this has everything to do with residents not voting.
Yeah.
It starts with
Exactly.
the people who live there.
Exactly. When less than 10% of the people show up, that tells the city, hey man, what we want to do?
Yeah,
Okay,
we do what we want to do.
we do
do it.
exactly what we want to do.
Yeah.
And when there's not a council member that is standing up,
Right.
and fighting hard, which I'm not accusing anybody of anything, but I'm accusing the people not representing. When you don't have the people representing to say, hey, we care, hey, money talks, baby. Money talks.
You're correct.
Money talks. I was reading the other day about a new project that they're doing. There's a I can't remember the name of the cafe, but apparently it's a cafe that is built around. They sell motorcycles. There's a restaurant involved, as well as some kind of lounge area too. That is going to be building down somewhere near where the bus station currently resides. And they're going to have about 4 or 5 acres of property that they're going to take over. And what happens with this particular venue is it's based out of London, and it typically ends up being a hangout place for motorcycle clubs, motorcycle clubs, car clubs. Different car clubs tend to kind of hang out at this facility, and hold events, meeting places and different things like that. So there's a lot of things happening, and this project itself, I believe, is obviously several $1 million project because they're going to turn over 4 or 5 different acres. They're actually going to be moving that church that's down there. I can't think of the name of it. It's one of those progressive type churches.
I think it's is it H2O or something like that?
Yes, that's the one.
Okay.
H2O. They're actually going to have to move out of their building into a different building, but they're all smart about it. They're working the deal. Okay, y'all going to let this cafe thing come in? Okay, no problem. Y'all going to move my church to another building that's close by because I'm not giving up my property for nothing. So there's a lot of things happening downtown, man, and we need to put some people on the council seat that would at least speak for the people that tend to not have a voice that people can recognize and hear. So 20,000 people, hopefully at least 20,000 will show up. If nothing else, 10,000 people in District 5 show up May 6th. May 6th, show up. Put your cast your vote for whomever you believe is gonna be the best candidate for the position. Regina Hill, Juan Lynham, whatever. May 6th, show up, people. Go ahead. You want anything else to say, Ms. Burney?
I think that's it. I would just echo your sentiments and say that we definitely need individuals to show up and vote. I would love to see 10,000 people show up to the polls and vote in this particular race. It's not going to happen. I'm
trying to keep the positive vibes.
Keep
Ms.
it positive.
Well,
Keep it positive.
I'm usually the negative
Speak
one,
it
Ms.
into
Burney. I'm the negative one here. So I'm trying to be positive.
It's not negative. It's reality. This is called history. We've seen it over and over again. It's repeating itself. This is what it is. But don't ignore all the other races that are coming up the rest of this year. We still have to either elect or re-elect our governor. And we also have state house and Senate seats. We are getting ready to elect or re-elect a new county mayor. We have a very crowded County Commission District 6 race that is also going to be on the forefront and may turn out similar than like this District 5 City Council race, but probably not as bad. And so just make sure that you pay attention to everything that's coming up. There are going to be forums galore. We would love to see more voters and community members there in droves, really expressing their opinions and asking questions and just getting out and really getting involved this year because we need it.
Yeah, and it's a big year because there's no sexy candidate on the ballot. There's no sexy candidate on the ballot.
Okay. All right.
Kidding.
So they're gonna have to do a lot of encouragement. People are gonna have to do a lot of research because probably other than the governor's race, which I'm sure as we get closer and closer to November, I know that is just going to explode. I'm sure Rick Scott has another 70 million ready to go.
100 million.
100 million ready to go, and Charlie Crist ain't going to be no slouch. He's probably going to get 100 million too. He's got one of the biggest attorney in the state riding for him. So I'm sure he's going to do everything he can to make sure that happens, especially since he's also got that medical marijuana thing on the ballot as well, which of course I know that's going to drive some extra people out that typically don't vote as well. Just the idea that, medical marijuana, I think I got a back pain.
Yep.
My friend was asking about that.
What's your friend name again?
My friend.
So
what's his name? Illis?
Philip.
There's a lot of things happening this year. I hope people get involved and go out and vote. Now, all of these are going to be happening in the November election, correct?
August will be the general, and then we'll have a primary. No, excuse me. We'll have a primary, and then we'll have a general election.
Okay.
So August is the first one, and then November will be the second.
And then November is the big boy after we decide who the Republican and Democratic candidates will be.
Oh boy.
We'll come out and support both. I just want to say really quick, though.
Sure.
One last thing. The city of Apopka elected a new mayor on last evening.
Yes. I think that's a good thing, too.
I think it's great.
I think it's a good thing.
I don't know. I like driving around seeing my mayor.
How long though?
When I went to the Martin Luther King parade in the Popka, and not to be funny, but like he was asleep.
I mean, he's 94.
94.
I mean, come on.
And when I'm 94, I hope if God gives me the opportunity to become 94, the last thing I think I'm going to want to be worried about is, am I still the mayor of my city? Come on, man. I mean, I think I want to be on a porch.
I agree. Enjoy
a
the
rocking chair, some iced tea.
Now, the funny part is,
yelling at kids as they play in the streets or something.
The front page of the
Something,
front page in the Sentinel today said he was heartbroken.
I hope it doesn't kill him.
I know that might be the next. I mean, you don't want to put that out there, but usually, like Paterno, when all that stuff happened with him, as soon as he, I mean, of course that was stressful as well, but after he stopped coaching, he didn't last long.
Yeah.
That, I mean, maybe that's, we're not going to put on this man.
I know.
The fact is.
Somebody told me, they say if they were 94, they're going to be running for president.
Okay.
He might as well. He knows how the process works. He's seen it for so long.
He was elected in 1949. Wow.
He went to school with Teddy Roosevelt.
1949. Sir.
And guess what hasn't happened since 1949? They have not been able to buy alcohol on Sunday.
Wow.
Yes, this is true.
In the city of Apopka.
This is true.
Wow.
That might change.
That will be changing.
That might change.
Well, they've already said that'll be one of the first things on the list.
I bet you that will be changing.
That was funny. I did not know that a couple years ago.
A friend.
I did not know that.
Your friend.
I just go in the store one day like, you can't get this. I'm what? I'm like, what's wrong? I'm like, this is a joke. Because the funny thing, you like drive 5 minutes down the street and you good. So it's like, I don't know. That's funny. Mm-hmm. That's why I always thought it was kind of stupid, actually.
Yeah.
That actually happens in a lot of counties across the South.
That's how it is in Atlanta.
It is in when I stayed in Tennessee, in Rutherford County. On Sundays, nope.
So get your lick on Saturday night. Yeah, like Super Bowl, that's in Atlanta. That's when they go, like, get all their supplies and stuff that Saturday night because you can't buy it on
I'm
Sunday.
surprised they haven't changed that law.
Seriously. But they got to come out and vote.
Yep, you're right.
Yeah.
That's the only way it's going to happen.
Yep.
You're right.
Wow.
All right.
Well, thank you, Miss Burney. We appreciate it.
Thank
we
you.
appreciate it.
No problem.
You definitely got to come back and talk to me about what's happening with the Orange County mayoral race.
Will do.
I got to definitely have you. I'm curious about that.
What would be wrong in wishing you a pre-happy birthday?
No, thank you.
A pre-happy
birthday, Miss Burney.
Thank
Go,
you.
Jasmine. It's birthday. Go, Jasmine.
You guys have a great evening.
You too.
Thank you. You
Have
too.
fun.
You too.
Bye.
You too. Oh man. So real quick, man, we're just gonna continue with some news stories. Actually, if you got time, Miss Burney,
Let us
you can give me a comment on this one. Okay. Of course, you guys probably know the president just signed an executive order. That's what he does these days. He signs executive orders.
Here you go.
Can't convince everybody to pass the bill, so he signs executive orders. He signed an executive order for equal pay for women. Now, on the surface, you look at this and you say, really, what can anybody find wrong with this particular executive order? What's the problem? Equal pay for women. Here's my problem.
Wow. Okay.
See?
I got a problem with this.
See?
I got a problem with this. Here's my problem. One,
What?
when they did the research, in his own administration, he doesn't have equal pay for women. Mm-hmm. So that's my first problem. Two, here's the second problem. His Democratic counterparts that are obviously riding for him on this initiative don't have equal pay for the women on their staff. So
That's
you
all gonna
you
change.
lecturing the whole country about how they need to have equal pay,
Yeah.
and in your own house,
But he wanted to start.
He wants to
in your
start.
own house, you don't have
Yes.
equal pay.
He wanted to
It will be
initiate it.
changed.
Oh, so now that we want to use some
Once-
political clout
once
to
it came to his
once again claim
attention.
how bad the Republicans are,
They
we're
are.
going to, call out a quote unquote problem and then solve it even before I've even solved it in my own house. Really?
Well, listen.
Really?
Break it down.
The
Jazz.
president
Really?
is done. He don't have to
Right.
run for re-election.
No.
He don't need none of those people.
No, you don't.
Right.
You don't.
He doesn't need any congressional member. Of course he needs them, but he doesn't. And he knew early on that there wasn't equal pay in his own house. He knew that. He was well aware of that. I was an intern in 2008 when they signed the Lilly Ledbetter Act. And that is when they brought some serious attention to this. And, Hillary Clinton did this whole entire press conference on the lawn, and it was this big celebration and da-da-da-da. But if the president wants to make that decision now and start in his own house by bringing attention to it and creating the methods and courses of action that are necessary by using his own administration to do that, I think it makes perfect sense. Think about what this process would have been like had he decided to do this before re-election. It sounds crazy, but there are not that many women in Congress. I don't know if you know this. There are men who could care less about how much women get paid. They could care less about women in its entirety. They could care less about women's rights. So I don't foresee them signing that into law, or I don't see them voting or something like that. And then there were also a few other bigger fish to fry. We had a healthcare plan that needed to get passed. We went through a government shutdown. We went through a few things that were in retaliation for some of the decisions the president has made. Mm-hmm. Now that he is not running for re-election, he's signing executive orders. He's making decisions.
Booyah.
That's what you're
Okay.
supposed to do.
He's like, all right, we're going to give you your extra 20
Boom.
cents. We're going to move this ship forward.
Here's my other question, though. Here's my other
Here
question.
Here we go. What?
And it's 2014.
Mm-hmm.
I know traditionally women typically, over the years, you go back 40, 50 years, there's pay gaps that are probably astounding. But moving into 2014, are women really, on average, still being, having a hard time making equal pay?
Yeah.
I mean, because ultimately,
Yes.
you think of your standard jobs. If you talk about retail, that's a standard job. You pretty much get paid a standard salary, regardless if you're a man or woman. Let's go to professional jobs. You're a teacher. That's a standard job. You get paid the same amount of money whether or not you're a man or woman. So really the jobs that I think that this kind of really plays into effect are your higher end jobs. So you're a lawyer that just signed on to a firm. You work in government and, as a staff position somewhere. But to me, a lot of those jobs now are based on negotiation.
Correct.
And so a woman who has shrewd business sense, great negotiation skills, I find it hard to believe that she's taking a job and getting paid thousands and thousands of dollars less than her counterpart who she knows does as great as she is at that same job. I find that hard to believe that in 2014, 2013, 2012, that is happening so much that we need to create an executive order in 2014. We need to pass a bill in 2014 in Congress to address this issue when I feel like women, especially if you're talking about minority community, they're taking a larger role in getting these kind of high-powered jobs. And I look at Ms. McCrae, I look at Ms. Burney here, and I can't imagine them signing on to any job that they didn't get paid what they thought the male counterpart in their position would have gotten.
That's cute. Listen. Okay, listen. I
love you.
Oh
my God.
Miss Burney, you signed up for a job.
Listen. You have been blessed to come into this world as a man, and which means that you walk into certain rooms and you are not the only man in those rooms. I walk into certain rooms and sometimes I am the only female in those rooms. And if I have to negotiate my salary with a group of men who, number one, don't have children or have to bear them, who don't have to take care of anyone after school, who don't have other things that make may be taking place in their lives, that could be a part of a woman's negotiation where she will say, you know what, I need to negotiate being able to pick up my child after school and making sure that they have a safe place to go. I will take a lower pay, because they may not give me this additional pay and allow me to have extra benefits to take care of my child. There's a give and take in that sort of situation.
Okay, but see, then that's, to me though, that's not an equal pay issue. That's you making a decision to take less. Because
a woman should never have to,
No,
a woman should never have to consider that in her negotiations. But she does, out of fear that she will not get the executive position and title that she really wants.
But now, isn't that a personal decision and not necessarily the company?
It's fear.
No.
That's forcing you to do that.
It's fear
That's
and
not
it's
a
intimidation. I think it's fear and it's intimidation. I have been in positions where I've had to negotiate my pay, and I know that my male counterparts have made more than I have with the same degree. With the same degrees. Okay, I know this for a fact, and I know that the pushback for me was much harsher than it was for someone else who was not a woman or a black woman. I know the pushback is totally different. And I'm not saying that happens everywhere.
Can I ask you this? Because I'm not going to disagree with you, because obviously you know your experience. But what I do want to know is, are these positions against, let's say, other blacks, or are these positions against other whites?
Well,
because I think it makes a difference.
What do you mean?
I'm speaking from my personal experience, but I would say
racial world, baby.
It is a racial world.
No, but I mean, so you're saying like if my competition were a bunch of black people,
would it be different?
Right. I'm confused.
What I'm asking is, knowing sort of at least where your career is going.
Mm-hmm.
I'm making an assumption to say this is, obviously in a political realm that we're discussing. And so as a result, in a political realm, as we know, there's a lot more as far as being active and trying to get out there. You typically find white males more so than black males that are shooting and kind of positioning themselves in that manner.
Correct.
So that in these positions, were you competing against white males, or were you competing against other black males, or was it a race? What I'm asking is, was race a factor at all in the position? Meaning, was it all black people that were competing, or was it multiple races?
Competing against white males.
See, that to me is another element that's beyond you being a woman, though, because we all know when you're in certain circles, people are going to gravitate and pick the people that they feel closest to, they relate to more. So that's more of not a woman issue.
No.
That's more to me of a racial issue, and then the woman factor also factors in. But underneath the racial issue,
if Jazz was a white blonde woman, she would have that same pushback when it comes to her white counterparts.
I don't think that
Period.
I don't think I can agree with that, because I agree that I will still get that same pushback had these been all black folks that I was dealing with.
Yeah.
I think it would have been
As
the
a
same
woman.
exact thing. And if you've got a room with three men who are talking to little old Jasmine, okay, number one, sometimes people just don't expect certain things from me. But then number two, they're probably like, well, we could just probably tell her, anything, and they don't know where my history lies, who I've probably spoken to prior to this.
They don't, but I'm sure you make that well known before you leave that room.
But the pushback is going to be hard. They are going to come for me. Trust me, they're going to come for me.
I believe that. I wholeheartedly believe. Most people may not know what you look like, but you probably like less than 5'5", I'm assuming.
I'm 5 feet.
5 feet, exactly. Wow. She's a 5-foot black woman that knows her political realm as well as the next man. So I can understand that there's probably pushback. When I understand that there's probably pushback, but I also believe too. Just knowing you from what I do know of you, that you make it known that, I know what I'm talking about. and so from that perspective, you hold your own, no matter the room. And again, I'm not saying that my opinion is, I hold true on my opinion, even with your comments with me here, is that is it so bad that we need quote unquote laws in place to check individuals? That's the question. Yeah. Because I think overall, I think there's the progress that should be made. Of course, there's always progress. There's progress with black people. Period. There's progress that needs to be made. But do we need more laws to ensure that progress be made? I don't think that's the solution. because even if you put a law in place, you know, people find ways to get around the law all the time. So the law in and of itself doesn't solve the problem. It's just something else on the books. So that it doesn't solve the problems. And so my point is it going to help? I don't think it will help. It's really just another ploy, you know, like I said, just a ploy to say and pin one person against the next person, but it's not necessarily an issue that I think needs to be handled through quote unquote executive orders, bills. I mean, they just had a bill, the Little Ledbetter bill. I mean, it does sort of the same thing.
You know the saying, the squeaky wheel gets the oil. If there weren't people making noise about this situation, the president, it wouldn't even be on his radar. This wouldn't even be something we consider. This is back in 2008 when they signed that, and we're still having a conversation about it. Obviously, there is still an issue. There's still a need. I will agree with you, though. There are people who are going to try to skirt around this law to make other decisions. And that is where I think the skirting around will come when a mother walks into a room and says, can I be allowed to do these certain things for my children? Or no, Bob, who you're getting same pay for, doesn't get to leave at 5 o'clock. Why should you be able to leave at 5 o'clock? We're paying you the same. We expect the same exact work and the same exact time out of you. I think that is where they're going to try to get around that.
Well, I think you do need the law because just like as a people, we needed certain laws. Just for legal reasons.
That's
so if something happens,
but that's the thing.
You can go back.
The laws are already in place. We don't need more.
No. I think I mean, in certain situations, I think you always at least need something on paper. So there's a reference or a precedent, what have you, that you can always go back to.
Why is this an issue though? Like, why are you against something that's good?
You know what it is?
If it was me,
this is a good thing.
This is what it is. That's the Republican in him.
It is. It really is. Because like, how do you find fault in this? Like the fact that it's something that can bring women on the equal playing field.
If it was my company, I would bring people on the equal playing, women on the equal playing field. I don't care. I want the best person for the job, whether it be a man, a woman, it doesn't matter to me. You know what I'm saying? So from my perspective, this would never be an issue. But what all I'm saying is, I just don't think. I think this law, when clearly the person who's initiating this obviously doesn't believe in it, because if you believed in it as much as you wanted to put it as an executive order because it was just so important, then you wouldn't have to check yourself on your own office after the fact that you put the executive order in place. You'd have already checked yourself before you did it. You see what I'm saying? Like I said, if I had a company, the man, the woman, the best person for the job is going to get the most money for the job. I don't need to check myself after the fact and go, oh, let me create this law, and then because I see now on my staff these women ain't making as much as these men, I'm gonna go back and fix that. No, that's called a ploy. You know, you're playing a game with people because you're trying to get some votes for somebody. That's not your sincerity, and that's my problem with it. It's not sincere.
It was sincerity with the Little Act.
If it was sincere, you do the right thing first.
It still need to be done.
It doesn't.
I'm not gonna sit here and say that it's a bad call. It's a great call. If you look back into history, just go back, women weren't allowed to vote at all until the 1920s. But the reason they got that vote in because of laws. So it's because of those laws that were pushed that got women to get to the status where they are now. Now we know when you look in the school system, who run the school systems, predominantly women, because you have a lot more women that are going to get educated than there are males going to be educated. Physically, yes, men are stronger physically, hands down, to do certain jobs. But if the sister can come in and do the same job, why can't she get the same pay?
Well, in the school system they do though, because it's standard contracts. You know, if you work if you're in the system 5 years, you make this much. If you're in the system 10 years, you make this much. But if you got a master's, you in 5 years, you make this much. Right. I mean, in the school system, there's no issues. We're talking about these executive level positions, which
you still make an executive decision.
Exactly.
So you make executive pay.
One last question on this, Miss Burney, Miss McCrae. Do you honestly believe with the inception of the executive order actually only covers the federal government anyway, but they need to pass the second law that they're trying to push to Congress in order for it to affect, real people, if you will. But
regular folk.
But with the inception of this executive order, do you honestly believe in the federal government we're going to now see a change? Yes or no?
A start.
Oh yeah, they're
a
gonna
start.
they're gonna bring these women forward. You're gonna start hearing stories like you've never heard before.
Yeah.
Oh, trust me, they're gonna do their due diligence to make sure
Yeah,
that there's
but,
evidence that this worked.
obviously we're going to see stories paraded before us to say that it's the greatest thing
But
ever, and
it-
had this not happened, that's not my point. I
I
know that
understand.
we're going to see the political campaign to push
Yeah.
the progressiveness of
I'm
the
just
president.
saying it's
But
gonna
I'm
roll
saying,
right on
do you
into
believe?
2016.
Do you believe ultimately, long term, beyond the political season that we're currently in? Do you believe long term this is truly going to have an effect on women's pay
Yes.
within the federal government, and then potentially, if Congress has passed the bill, which will never happen,
Yes.
when in the federal government, do you really believe this is going to change the game and really bring women equal pay?
Yes.
Yes, I do too.
Yeah.
However, caveat: the amount of time that this will take is going to be the other piece of it. It's not going to happen in a year, 5 years. This may be a very long process.
So then it doesn't
But
change anything.
Yes, it does. You tell that to the black folks who couldn't vote, and then something they had to fight for what the rights that they got. It didn't happen overnight, but it happened. And now, although we don't take advantage of that right,
you.
we had to get it. Every minority, every issue, every law that was created was for a fight.
Just like you said with women and their right to vote. Women have been around since the beginning of mankind, and they just got their rights to vote in the 1920s. It's going to happen.
Women's suffrage march.
It's gonna happen, but the only way it can happen effectively if you, like you say, you get enough ladies or enough women to push the issue. And when most of the times when a woman push the issue,
It's gonna get
we
done.
tired of listening. Let's make it do what it do.
Look, and
I ain't got time for my wife to be coming home saying, "Look, this needs to be done." I'm tired of it. Let's do it.
Studies are showing, especially in the African American community, women are outpacing men, period, in education. But that's going to continue. Right now, Caucasian males are still outweighing women, white women, Caucasian women. But as more and more of us become educated and become leaders and then become the executives, just wait.
Just wait.
Again, but that has
Who
nothing
run
to
the world?
It has nothing to do
Girl,
with.
run
But
the
see, the key thing on that though, it won't be because of the law though.
Yes,
It'll be
it will- that will
because of
catapult
the
it.
individuals. It's not the
No,
law. That's
no.
law.
The law protects the individuals.
But
How do you not
that
see
is
Man.
how
this?
you get cases taken to the Supreme Court. There's got to be a precedence. There's got to be some
has to
sort
be a
of
precedent.
law
Yes.
that they can they can make it parallel to.
So when you
Again,
don't
we-
follow that law, I can say, "Oh no, this is on the books." So I'm going to take you and your
only
employer
if you work in the federal.
for now,
government.
brother. For now,
It's correct.
Just for the time.
It
It
is
has
called
to
a
start.
Republican-led House.
it has.
It
to
ain't
start.
gonna happen.
It ain't happening.
But how is this a bad
All the way
thing?
into
See, you and your
2016, Miss
people,
Burney.
you and your
We got years
conservative
after that.
people.
Trust me, mark my words. It's changing.
I'm just why? How is this an issue? How is this an issue, you conservatives?
Oh God!
Like, how do you make this a problem?
Man, it's just about that time.
It's
man.
not coming from the budget that y'all always like to holler. Who's going to pay
Listen,
for
Cray
it?
fired up.
Who's going to pay for it? Because that's his thing. Everything that they come up, who's going to pay for it?
Hey, that's
20 years down
important.
the line, who's going to pay? This has nothing to do with the budget.
It doesn't.
This is just fairness across the
Doesn't.
board.
Again, I don't have a problem with paying women equal. I just don't believe executive order, bill, whatever you want to create
My God.
is the key to making it happen. I think it's going to happen when people do the right thing. That's when it's going to happen. And so when they decide to do that, it'll happen. If people don't want to do the right thing, it's not going to happen no matter what law is in place. So rather than spend our time debating whether or not we need it, good thing, bad thing, let's do the right thing and then talk about some stuff and it's going to make some
How
change
often do
in
people do the right thing without being told to do it?
Hey,
Speeding tickets, seatbelts. I mean, we have
Your
red light and
kids.
green lights. Like,
Right.
we have rules
process,
in
right?
place for people to.
it may not happen this year, next year, but 5-10 years down the road.
Now you
It's
being,
gonna happen.
now you being funny, jerk.
It's gonna happen.
Wow. Oh, I love you though. You know that, right, Miss
You
McCray?
make me sick. Whatever.
Hey man, we want to thank y'all for listening to us tonight. We're winding down So we appreciate it. I thank Miss Burney, Miss McCrae, Jeremy, Chris Shaw, always, man. We love when Chris Shaw stopped by. He's always got something interesting to say. Golden Corral. Mr. McCrae's ready. We'll see y'all next week, same time, 9 p.m., Real Family Talk. Remember, this is Gospel 1680 WOKB, Orlando's Gospel Music Channel, WOKBradio.com, as well as the TuneIn app, too. Tune in next week, like I said, 9 p.m.
You can follow us on Facebook, Real Family Talk. You can follow us on Twitter, Real Family Talk. The website, realfamilytalk.weebly.com.
WOKB, Winter Garden, Orlando.